chairman of today's event, Professor R.A. Odemide, is the Mercator Grant and Officer. A round of applause. And the chairlady of today's event is Dr. Pedro Ayala, which is the Deputy Dean of Students. A round of applause for her. I'd also like to recognize the focal person for the gender mainstreaming office, and that is Professor Stella Odeboni. Our focal persons for today, we have 4 of them. We have Dr. Alero Akiribu from the Faculty of Law. We also have here Dr. Debola Lewis from the Department of Linguistics. We also have here Dr. J.O. Jubril, Dr. J.O. Abdul Malik from the Psychiatric Department, College of Medicine. And we also have Dr. Yinka Ibukari, she's from the Department of Communication and Language Arts.
The Ebro Mercator Grants Liaison Officer of the University, in person of Professor Odemide, Deputy Dean of Students, male, female, you can see that she's a female, in person of Dr. Pedro Ayala, other eminent fellows on the IT group. Of course, they are all resource persons, because I don't want to waste our time. I want to welcome you and our fellow participants. I want to welcome you all with great pleasure to this gender sensitization workshop organized by the Gender Mainstreaming Office of the University of Ibadan. I'm particularly glad that a forum like this is being organized to orientate our newly employed academic staff on issues pertaining to policies of the University of Ibadan, especially those bordering on rules and regulations of peaceful coexistence among staff, students, and service providers within the university community. The workshop is an initiative of the Gender Mainstreaming Office, University of Ibadan, and the main objective of this workshop is to help participants to build a gender-sensitive institutional culture and incorporate a gender perspective into the vision, mission, and core research methodologies of academic work on campus. So the workshop will instill in participants significant gender issues that should be addressed in order to influence progress and achieve institutional goals. Gender mainstreaming is a globally accepted strategy for promoting gender equity that has become a global indicator for measuring institutional progress and development. Very recently, a lot of our students went for this award fellowship. And in the award fellowship, they were asked to, I think that person was asked, do you have a gender policy in your institution? Yes or no? If yes, then the signature of the gender mainstreaming office or something like that. And they started running up and down. We were so glad because at that time, the Senate had already approved our gender policy and the sexual harassment policy. I wanted to give you a round of applause for that. A lot of them won that award and we're happy about it. And so, this is the reason why we are calling you that gender mainstreaming involves ensuring the gender perspectives and attention to the goal of gender equality that are central to all activities such as policy development, resource allocation, research, planning, implementation and monitoring of programs and projects. In the University of Ibadan, at least we want to thank our MGLO for doing a good job, because now if you apply, if there's any advertisement on issues regarding research, women are giving, they are actually encouraged to apply. Is that not so? I will find it. The participants, they are looking at me. Is it true? Yes. You know why? Because they are new. Okay. So if there's any advertisement, or if you are advertising for whatever research program that we have planned of the university, you are encouraged to apply. In fact, women are giving preference, I think. So the employee is there. I'm sure he's the father of such grants, and I'm sure he's happy to be here. And that's why we want him around, and he's happy to be the father of this occasion. So gender-sensitive habits and activities are those that involve mutual care and consideration for the progress of both male and female in the community. So gender sensitivity in any environment entails making both genders secure, helping both to build up confidence and feelings of self-worth. So it is crucial to know that physical or emotional abuse has no place in gender-sensitive environment. So why are we organizing this workshop? The reasons for the workshop: we are promoting and sustaining the gender mainstreaming process in the University of Ibadan to create an efficient, accountable, and participatory platform that is capable of promoting peaceful coexistence among all categories of people on campus. That's the first reason. And the second objective is to enable you to understand the different roles and needs of both male and female in our community, that is in the university, and challenge any gender bias or discriminatory behaviors that may undermine the safety of anyone on campus. I don't know whether we've had this before. When someone is walking, they say, "Oh, why are you walking like a woman?" Have you heard that before? Why are you walking like this? Why don't you walk? The man is walking gently, and they say, "Oh, why are you walking like a woman?" How does a woman walk? Or someone is driving in front of you, and the man is a man, and he's driving a car. And say, why are you driving like a woman? What have we done? Is it easy to be a woman? Why not the opposite? I'm sure Dr. Lewis is going to talk more about that later on. To make you more conscious, this is the reason why we are also organizing this workshop, to make you more conscious on gender issues on campus and apply a gender lens in promoting human dignity as you carry out your duties on campus. At this juncture, I want you to know that the University of Ibadan is committed to the attainment of gender equity in the society. And the cumulative research output on gender studies in the University of Ibadan has led to the development of the gender and sexual harassment policy documents of the university. And so on this note, I want to welcome you for coming. I want to welcome you to this workshop. And I also want to say that this workshop is not intended to be theoretical discourse, so that we just talk and then talk grammar and then go back. It is also my hope that your contributions and experience sharing will help to incorporate gender issues into key learning and research perspectives and improve the quality of service delivery in line with the goals of this university. Once again, I welcome you all and wish you a very productive session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I'd like to call on the chairman of today's occasion, Professor R.A. Oderinde, for this opening message. A round of applause.
Gender mainstream focal person, Professor Stella Odebode. Let me use this opportunity to congratulate her also that they are just been uplifted the deputy dean of students. I want to say Professor Ayika is coming to the doctor meeting. Doctor meeting Ayika again. The other resource persons to the table. My colleagues today, we are all colleagues now because we are all working table colleagues today in the right. A goodwill message from Makato Liaison Officer at the gender sensitization workshop for newly employed academic staff of the University of Ibadan on Monday, 17th of March 2014. It is indeed my pleasure to deliver this goodwill address at this occasion. I congratulate all the newly employed academic staff. I repeat, I congratulate all the newly employed academic staff for being among the privileged, I say privileged, for few that have been found worthy of appointment to the first and the best university in Nigeria and one of the best in Africa. I stand to the challenge of that, but by His grace, I've been around here very close to 4 decades. And by also His grace, I've been a professor of this university for 25 years. And I know this is the best university in Nigeria. I've been around. I would like to let you know that the University of Ibadan holds in high esteem due diligence, as the focal person has said, in the area of teaching and research. It is important for you to know that your research should not be at the detriment of the students you are to teach. And your teaching should not stop from doing impact-driven research that can be published in high-profile journals in the world. So you have a dual role. You are more like an academic father to these students. And you know what the father and the mother will do to the student at home. So you are doing that there at the university, and you can those you as academic fathers and mothers. On behalf of the entire university, may I offer you my very best wishes for your time here, particularly in research and teaching. I thank you all for listening.
Another round of applause, please. Thank you very much. I'd like to call on for a short hymn.
Mo kí lórí ìjókòó, mo kí wa pé a kú ìjókòó, mo kí gbogbo ẹni tí ń bẹ lórí ìdúró pátápátá, mo kí wa pé a kú ìdìde. Ohun tí mo ń wí gangan ni wípé all protocols are duly observed dúró. Gbogbo wa pátápátá ni mo kí wa pé ẹ kú kalẹ̀. Mo fẹ́ kí gbogbo àjọ tí ń ṣalákòóso mainstreaming office pátápátá pé ẹ ṣe tẹ̀ pè mí wá síbí. Tẹ́ ẹ ní kí n wá fi ọ̀rọ̀ ewì wá fi ṣí wa létí ọ̀rọ̀ lórí gender náà ni mo sì fẹ́ kẹ́ ẹ mọ̀ wípé gender ló mú mi wá síbí ẹ̀yà mi létí yín ẹ jẹ́ n fi àkókò kékeré bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ lórí gender. ọ̀rọ̀ jẹ́ndà ló gbé mi wá sí bí ẹ máa gbọ́ bí mo ti wí. Ṣé ẹ rí fún ìlọsíwájú àti ìdàgbàsókè ilẹ̀ wa, a ò gbọ́dọ̀ kóyán gender issues kéré rárá, a ò sì gbọ́dọ̀ fọwọ́ yẹpẹrẹ mú gender equity gan pa á. Ó ṣe pàtàkì, ó ṣe kókó, ó yẹ kí gbogbo wa fọkàn sí i. Gbogbo ọkùnrin tí ń bẹ nílé pátá, gbogbo ara ni mo fi pọ́n nílé, gbogbo obìnrin tí ń bẹ níkàlẹ̀ pátápátá, mo ní mo sàlúùtì ó jàre. Ìdí ni wípé mo ní pé gbogbo wa pátápátá la ṣe pàtàkì nínú iṣẹ́ tí à ń gbé, gbogbo wa pátápátá la ń ṣe takuntakun. Tá a bá rẹ́ni tí ń bẹ níbí tó ń ronú wípé obìnrin ò já mọ́ nǹkan kan, tàbí tí wọ́n ń gbèrò wípé kí lohun tóbìnrin lè ṣe, ẹ bá mi sọ fún irú wọn wípé irọ́ ńlá ni wọ́n fi pa. Nítorí wípé tá a bá fẹ́ progress tó ṣe fi ṣàríkọ́gbọ́n àní, a ní láti ní understanding èyí tó yanrantí, bí bẹ́ẹ̀ kọ́ wàhálà tó lè ti bẹ̀ yọ á pakasọ. Ẹ̀yà mi létí yín kẹ́ ẹ gbọ́ mi kóyè. That I am a woman has not placed any limitation on my ability at all to succeed rárá. Àní, it is never a hindrance to my excellent performance lẹ́nu iṣẹ́ tèmi. Ohun tí mo mọ̀ tó dá mi lójú ni pé àyè ọkùnrin ó wà lọ́tọ̀, bẹ́ẹ̀ láyé tèmi náà sì tún wà lọ́tọ̀ ságirítì. Gbogbo wa pátápátá la ní àyè tiwa, bí mo ti máa ń wí, ọkùnrin làdá ṣùgbọ́n obìnrin lọ́bẹ. Ṣé ẹ sì mọ̀ wípé iṣẹ́ àdá ọ̀tọ̀, iṣẹ́ ọ̀bẹ ọ̀tọ̀, ẹni bá fẹ́ pàdárẹ́lá ó di dandan kó lúwẹ̀ ó gé wọ́, ẹni bá fẹ́ pẹ ọ̀bẹ ṣángó ó di dandan ká pẹ̀lú orúwa rẹ̀ ní wèrè ó jàre. When we say gender equity, ẹ jọ̀wọ́ ẹ gbọ́ mi kó yé, a ò sọ̀rọ̀ nípa gender competition rárá, a ò sì sọ̀rọ̀ nípa women liberation ó ti o tí à ń wí ni wípé kí takọtabo wa kó jára mọ́ṣẹ́, ká má ṣe rí ẹnikẹ́ni tí yóò máa ṣe ìmẹ́lẹ́ nítorí pé wọ́n jẹ́ obìnrin, ká má sì ṣe rí ẹnikẹ́ni tí ó máa jẹ̀gàba lórí ẹgbẹ́ wọn torí pé a dá wọn lákọ, torí takọtabo la dálé ayé, ojú ọ̀run ó sì tẹ́yẹ kò láì farakanra. Ṣé ẹ wá rí ẹnikẹ́ni tó bá fẹ́ fi ojú òfin yìí gbolẹ̀ nílẹ̀ tàwa, mo ní irú ẹni bẹ́ẹ̀ àfi kí wọ́n yára wọn lẹ́bi gbẹ̀yìn ni, nítorí ó di dandan kí wọ́n rí ìjà òfin, ó di dandan kí a fi fún wọn dọ́rìn. Ẹ jẹ́ ká tẹra mọ́ṣẹ́, ká má ṣe ṣọ̀lẹ. Ṣé ẹ mọ̀ wípé ọ̀lẹ gbèlú tàwa, apálára, ìgúnpá nìyẹn kan, báwa wá rẹ́ni fèyí tí kọ́ ó yẹ ká tẹra mọ́ iṣẹ́ ẹni. Ṣé ẹ mọ̀ wípé tí ọ̀rọ̀ bá wà lọ pọ̀ jù, irọ́ ní mú wá? Nítorí náà mi ò ní pẹ́ máa lọ, ṣùgbọ́n mo fẹ́ rán wa létí pé gender equity ọ̀rọ̀ tó ṣe pàtàkì tó yẹ ká fọkàn sí ni. Gender equity ọ̀rọ̀ tó yẹ kí gbogbo wa ó gbé lárugẹ ni. Nítorí náà kí n tó máa lọ, gender mainstreaming ọ́fíìsì ló rán mi kí n rán wa létí wípé ẹ jẹ́ á múra síṣẹ́, iṣẹ́ lòògùn iṣẹ́, iṣẹ́ lòògùn iṣẹ́ o, ìtàkọ̀tàkọ̀ ẹ jẹ́ á múra síṣẹ́, iṣẹ́ lòògùn iṣẹ́, ká má ṣe ṣọ̀lẹ. Àìmọ̀ wọ́n lè bèrè lọ́wọ́ ní pé ta ló fi orin ewì tó fi sọ̀rọ̀ gender equity ní ìgbà wa, ẹ lè sọ fún wọn wípé kú ìró tàbí tà lórúkọ tèmi, ọmọ Premier University nígbà náà kú ní mí, àti extension department àti cultural extension ni mo ti wá. Wọ́n mi wá Ọdẹ́bọ̀dé àwọn gangan nìyá àti mi. Nítorí náà mo fẹ́ máa lọ, ẹ ṣé.
Thank you very much. I'd like to once again call on Professor Stella Ọdẹ́bọ̀dé for the training goals and objectives.
So that we can see the space is provided. Dr. Ayila, please. Yes. Thank you. The resource persons to please can find your seats there. Why are we here? That is the question. Is there a need for gender mainstreaming? Can someone answer that question there?
Yes.
Yes. Are we correctly yes?
Yes.
Okay. Now, why do we need gender mainstreaming for everybody? The first reason is because it's a human rights issue. You have the right to be what you want to be, in any society that you find yourself as a Nigerian. Is that not so? I mean, because the development has been sustainable. You know, since the time this place was established, we have been experiencing progress. And so United Ibadan is one of the best in Africa, if not the whole world. If you go abroad and you tell anybody you're from the University of Ibadan, you'll be treated like a king. Then that's when you know you are in the best place to be. I thought you were going to clap your hand for that. There is a benchmark for institutional advancement. Gender mainstreaming. We can, if you, like I said the other time, that you know, in their one fellowship, they were looking for whether your institution has the gender policy or not. If your institution has one, then you are one of those to be considered. And many of our students were considered. Very many of our students won that award this year, and we are so proud of it. Some of them are in Nairobi right now with their mentors, you know, their award fellowship. So if you have so male, female, you know, if there's any problem too, we can easily know from our statistics how many male, how many female, even without Now, what are the objectives? These are our objectives for gender sensitization. The first one is ensuring equal respect and value for the dignity and integrity of both male and female. You cannot just treat anybody anyhow. The fact that I'm a female does not mean that you call me baby. You know, when you are passing through the House of President, they'll say baby. You know some slangs, it may not be relevant here, but you know, that's what you are saying. We should treat ourselves, you know, with respect. Whether you are teaching the students, you don't have to try to just slap the student on the bum. You know, one student one time just came to me and said, no, mommy, one man just came and then beat me at the bum. And the just said it was a mistake. But what kind of a mistake is that? Is that a respect for that particular gender? No. I have to call the person to order. No, this is University of Ibadan. We have a policy. You cannot just, by mistake, that mistake don't arise anymore. You know, it's ensuring equal respect and value for the dignity and integrity of both male and female. You know, so both for male and female, I think we can function irrespective of whatever you are on campus and in different committees. So if you are a female, you should strive to be in curriculum committee, curriculum development committee, not welfare, not tell me dressing committee or you know, beautification. You know, so we should not just be. Our place is actually not in the kitchen. You have the potential. In the US of Ibadan now, most of our student associations, they have ladies at the one of them is there. So Oyinda here. Please let her come in. Our BBC is a woman too. Oyinda Malala lady is the president of one association too, the University of Ibadan. She's very responsible, very reliable, well dressed. This is Oyinda Malala. She's one of the presidents of our association. Is she not looking good? And she's there helping to register. Thank you, Oyinda Malala. God bless you. Eliminating any perceived barriers in providing and promoting inclusive practices for all staff and students, and then targeting areas to eliminate inequalities. Of course, we are targeting different areas. Our employees there, once any advertisement is out, the RMO director just came in and went back for another workshop over there. You know, females are given special advantage. So if you are a woman and you are a man, you can apply and then you'll be given the opportunity once you are qualified. Supposed to be Professor Stella O or whatever. You don't have to put this, but you put this. That's number one. Dr. Lewis will talk more about that maybe later. Ensure that the dignity and integrity of both females and males are equally respected and valued. And that is taking place. You see most of our students, most of our classes, you have even more females now. And then in our PYTP in Agric, PYTP program, a practical year student program, we discovered that the female are even doing very well. And they usually come first in most of our programs at the end of the day. We have home economics unit, and when they are asked to dress to decorate cake, the male, they do very well and they come first in the decoration of cake and baking of cake. So you can see that it's working for us on campus. Ensure transparent operating system in academic and other matters devoid of demand for sexual gratification. I mean, the fact that you're a lecturer does not mean that you say, okay, please come in the evening, bring your paper. I like you. And then if care is not taken because you like that girl, you give marks. We have our policy document. I'm sure Mr. Alero is going to talk about that. We have penalties for those who will sexually abuse students or staff that will sexually abuse one another. Let me see. You know, like you sit down there and you open your lab and the lecturer is, or you are the lecturer, it's maybe the other, you know. So we have penalties for that. So I want us to go through the policy document. In fact, you can leave your emails and your telephone numbers. We can send the e-copy of our policy documents to your boss so that you'll be able to read everything. So that if there's any mistake, you know the penalty. But I'm sure there's not going to be any mistake. UI is respected. UI is number one, and we continue to remain there. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I'd like us to kindly all outside for a good photograph. Thereafter, we can start the presentation. Thank you.
All right. Please, are you covering everybody? Okay. All right, all right.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. I'm sure about certain stereotypes that we all have about gender, and that it takes a bit of time to wear off, but we have to be conscious of them. And once we're conscious about this stereotype, then we move on the gender thing. Sex is a physiological state of being male or female, and that's not gender. Also, we have to make that distinction between sex and gender. Physiological state of being male or female is sex. It's a biological accident. It just happens. Whether you have the X chromosome or you have the XY chromosome. And by the way, the man delivers the Y. Alright? So, cool. So, social construct of roles would be gender. The roles that come from being male or female, the rights that we have, the privileges that we have, the resources that we have, responsibilities that come from being male or female, the prejudices that we have, and because we're male or female, is what gender is. So gender is more a social thing. It's a social construct. It's what society defines male, the role of male or female to be. Right? So it's also power relations in that sense, because your roles determine just how powerful you are and what privileges you have. So in a situation where there's gender imbalance, you find that a particular gender suffers more, bears the brunt more than the other gender. And that's when you say there's inequity, and that has to be correct. Alright? So the ambit of sex as physiological is physical development, natural psychology. There's a production, about 17 years of reproduction for the females, where certain things are done with less efficiency, and they shouldn't be punished for that because that's for societal. And then there's the underlying attachment to sweet mothers. So mothers tend to have more affection from the children and so on, and there's the brute stamina that men have and all of that stuff. Technological advancement, taking advantage of that too. Even in same-sex marriages, there is gender. There's pop and there's mom. Pop and dad. Pop is the mom, and dad is the. You find out that even lesbians and gays try to take on the role of male and female. The where you would tell from a photograph of partners that this is a male and this is a female. And there was a documentary the other day where they were showing a gay couple that adopted a child, and there was the one who was playing the role of the mother, and another who was playing the role of the father. And my answer to that is, if you have to play those roles, why don't you just get the male thing instead of get the original? So, alright, so fine. She put the slides, it's fine, alright. It's fine, I'm moving. The both genders are the same, but there should be no worry about the killing of women and children, giving birth. We're not the same, but we're equal. Both genders are equal, but we're not the same. We have our roles to play, and we must harness those roles. That's the point. So, for instance, let's say you're budgeting the UI, and you don't have females in your budgeting group. Then you're going to end up building lawn tennis courts instead of making sure that water runs in all the halls. And water not running in the pipes is different from males and it's different from females. You understand? So in budgeting and everything, we have to bring females, we have to bring both gender rather together. I'm saying females because we find out that that's the situation now, that the females are somewhat left behind. But at some point we hope that the males will be left behind. And in fact, the males are left behind in certain areas. For example, I can't take a paternity leave. I mean, for God's sake, I need it because I need to rest and I need to prepare. But I mean, we'll talk about all of that later. So we are different, but we are different, but we're equal. And we then have to be fair. So we are equal, but not the same. We must harvest all talents, male and female. Next. And then what changes with sex change? If I do a sex change now, would there be a change of network or opportunities or responsibilities or rights or earnings? If the answer to any one of those is yes, then of course it means that there's gender inequity. We're not being fair gender-wise. So if much, then inequity. If little, then equity. No less. We should rather be male. Would you rather be male? I already asked this question. Now, when they say Oberindi or Oberindi, they think they're praising the woman. A woman like a man. It's an insult. I mean, a woman is a woman, and she's a great woman, just like you have great men. So a woman cannot be like a man. Just like if you told me Oberindi, I feel insulted. So how come it's praise when I say Oberindi or Oberindi? I mean, sorry. That tells us that psychologically we don't have everybody equal. Yeah, so we need to work at that, especially as academics and as people who champion the course of society in terms of development and the ideas that are relevant priority. Alright, so blah blah blah. Okay. So both sexes have equal rights, freedom, conditions, and opportunities to realize their full potential. That's the situation where there's gender equity. Society values males and females equally, but there's similarities and differences and the diverse roles that they play. So for our similarities and for our differences, we must appreciate more the differences right now in terms of male and female and realize that if you're not harvesting those differences, then we are underdeveloping our society. Okay, gender equity involves fairness, therefore. We have children and we realize that we love our children. Every child has equal rights, but not every child has the same needs. So we must meet everybody at the point of their needs. That's fairness. So if this person is female and at this point he or she is pregnant, and we make a lot of fuss about this childbearing thing and all of that, because many times men take leave for other reasons. And many times a person on the job doesn't have a child more than like maybe 4 times. I mean, and she's serving for like 30 years. I mean, and then because of 4 years, you begin to take some noise about, all of these things. And then men go on sabbatical and then take accumulated leave and then take all sorts of things, a lot more robustly than females do. So we must realize that some of these things are just not being fired as it were. So fairness means that we meet everybody at the point of their needs. Now this is from, it's talking about how our society has already constructed our mention. This is things for apartment, talking about bright price. And one says that if everything had been a boring, okay, this is another fact, I would have been happier. she has the right spirit also, but the problem is that she's a girl. No, sorry. And this, I remember when I was young, a young boy, there was a song about that. Please move on. I made that point already. The fact is that that's the way society looks at it. We just put the women below the men. And, all right. So gender is about, some people think that gender is about women. They think that these are stereotypes, basically. That gender is about women, it's about male and female. And I'm sorry, I'm serious about that. After this week I'm talking about. But then, women are bad drivers, you just see that, and then you discover that it's a woman that is at the wheel, and then you say, bad job, I mean, what does that mean? Most of the bad drivers in the world are men, for God's sake. I've been hit by only men, okay, one woman. But I've been hit by only men, as it were. So, and but if it was a woman, no, this women, this is the way that it's just a stereotype, really, at the end of the day. The market is a woman's territory, yeah. So when they see a man there, they think this guy is so stingy. Because of the 200 naira that his wife will make from going to the market, he decides to come to himself, and all of that stuff. And they get really, really, really angry about that. Men are promiscuous. Oh, that's a license. Because society knows that men are promiscuous. We're free to do whatever we want. No, it's not that men are promiscuous. It's that some men are promiscuous. And that's not right, therefore. And society has to scream that instead of saying, oh man, it's taken for granted. I was surprised when I got married that my father-in-law's friends called me aside and were telling me how to play the game. You know what I mean? Alright, so fine. I mean, right there, because it's assumed that you have to be, you get what I'm saying. Alright, so females oppose females. Sorry. I've seen so many battles. I hate to say this, but one day in my department, the extended examiner had to go between two lecturers, the head of department and another senior colleague of mine, and both of them male, men fighting men. So he was head of, if it was a female that was head of the department and it was a female that was opposing him, they'll say, women, they oppose women, they don't want women. That's the point. The point is you don't oppose her because she's a woman, you oppose her because of her principles. And so it doesn't matter whether it's male or female, you oppose what you must oppose and you align with what you must align with. It doesn't really matter. So we should stop all this story about it's because it's a female or it's because it's a male. No, that's not why. We should be operating on the basis of merit and all of that stuff. Okay, so the male child is paramount. And then they say she has no son, and it's the guy that's supposed to produce Y chromosome, So it's the man that determines whether it's a boy or a girl, not the female, not the lady. So, and then he says she has no son. I beg your pardon. He has no son. Well, what does it matter at the end of the day? At the end of the day, what we just, and it's something that society has already put in us. And it's difficult for us in our heart of hearts to take it off, except when it's having to. So, that you have a first child that is female, and then you have another who is male, and then when you're writing your will, you now pick more to the boy, just because of the boy. It doesn't make sense, does it? But we all do it, don't we? So, alright, and even the women are not, they're not exempt from this. They are the ones that enforce it. They're the ones that tell the children at home that this is your papa, and this is what the boy can do, and this is what the girl must do, and this is how the boy must be treated, and this is how, so it's not because men decided from the start. A lot about this construct is done by women. So, alright, and then women are the victims of gender violence. Yes, so Dr. Ekuhari is going to talk a lot about that, but that's true. But there's violence in many ways, and she's going to help us know. And I have a Babalawo guy. I used to live opposite my house when we lived at LA, and often his wife would beat him up. And then he would have to leave the house for like 2 weeks. In fact, she sent him parking. And many times I've gone to them beg on behalf of the Babalawo, and doing that too. Because apparently he would lose his potency if he beats his wife. So he didn't want to lose that because he didn't want to miss his customers. But that's a true life story. So it's not only women that suffer from gender violence. No, he said woman drinks alcohol. I beg your pardon. Look, all right. Yeah, the good things of life are for male and female. I mean, including alcohol. I mean, all right. So what I'm just saying is, if it's not good for men, it's not good for females as well. If it's not good for females, it's not good for males. It's not that it's better for a man to drink and get drunk. I mean, drinking is good for every human being, as far as I'm concerned, but not getting drunk. But okay, so it's better for a man to drink and get drunk than for a woman to do so. No, that's not true. It's wrong for both. So you're not more irresponsible because you're female and you're drunk. You know, that's, you get the gist. All right, women are good listeners. Hey, okay, you say so. But I've met a few women that I know that, and I've met men who are good listeners as well. You know, just like Dr. Paoli at this age, who is our gynecologist. Okay, fine. Males and irrational females are irrational. How can you say that? I mean, the kind of thinking that women go through in terms of their families and the sacrifice that they make because they are persons of having, it's crazy. It's totally crazy. We can't think that. We can say some people are more compassionate than others, but irrational. Sorry. Who puts your bill? Who pays your school fee? Okay. Why can't mommy pay the school electricity? Who helps you with your homework? Who puts your bill? Exactly. So if the child wrote that into any of the things that's supposed to do for mommy, she was wrong. All right, this is more people go through that. Okay, yeah. So it's been established that in societies where, in companies where they made the effort to bring more women on board, they realized that they were making a lot more profit. And that's very simple. Not because the women are brighter than the men, but because regardless of how sharp a man is, you cannot bring the point of view of a woman into perspective. So we must balance that. And Shinzo Abe, this guy is making the waves now, Abenomics of Japan, and all of that stuff. And he was saying recently that having an even number of women at work will increase Japan's GDP by 60%. And this is a responsible economist who is the president of Japan at the moment, and the world being split into him with Abenomics policy. And that's true. So the idea is bringing everybody on board, not leaving people out, harvesting all the talents that are available. These are the best chefs in the world, 12 of them, 3 of them are women. So the face of the women is not the kitchen, as we heard earlier, it's the face of women, isn't it? All right, but I mean, let's move on. That's our own Calvin Obaseki. He cooks very well, but I can't afford his meals. But maybe the professors can afford it. All right, so and then, well, yeah, life expectancy. We realize that in Nigeria, for instance, because there's societies that are trying to elevate the status of women or make the gender even, they have greater life expectancy. Now in Nigeria, as of the last year, it was 2.5. I don't know now what the situation is. The men die at 48 and the women die at 55, you see? You know? Because the men spend their whole life thinking that they are the only ones that have to be running around and trying to get money and worrying about this and not telling their wives this and blah, 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 blah. And so they die. And then when they die, shortly after that, the women die because they can't cope with the life, with the patterns that they've already been. So if we manage to bring everybody on the same level and manage to harness everything, then we'll live longer. So I think next slide. Yeah, Musa. So yeah, sometimes we think that exemptions are okay. Alright, she's a female, therefore she can't work extra time. Ask her first. Just like you ask the gentleman. Ask her first. Don't just say that because she's female she can't work extra time. She might need that extra money. So it's a very privation. You're going to pay people for extra time, and then you say females can't do it. Yeah, let them take the decision by themselves. You understand? Just like in the writing of our names, Professor Mrs. or Professor Mr. We shouldn't know that the person is male or female by the writing of the name. And UI hasn't quite aligned with respect to that, because when you look at the UI list, you can tell that this is female and this is male, because they'll write the first name of the female. And And that's already discrimination of sorts. Because each person should be able to say, for instance, how I want my name written. Not that you tell the person that, this is how, for example, I want to be Demola Luis, and I cannot be Demola Luis. You tell me that I have to be AA Luis. But my name is not AA Luis, my name is because I'm male. That's discrimination. Alright, the point of their needs. So we cannot have policies that are favorable to men and not favorable to women and say that you are operating a good society. No. What are the peculiarities of females? What are the peculiarities of males? We meet there. We take care of all of that and then we harvest bountifully. Alright, so fine. So there's an invisible ceiling. This is where women can get to. So far, right now the ceiling has been raised in UI. Okay, we can have a DVC administration and okay, cool. But can we have a VC that is female? Okay, fine. We got all things are possible. Good and bad. Alright, so there's a glass ceiling usually. There's usually a glass ceiling, a barrier for women. And I must say, okay, fine, for the women too, that doesn't mean that you now begin to regret the fact that you beget children. I mean, Professor Abiola Odedinde has children and she has done so very well for herself. It's a question of learning how to do and being mentored along those lines. The question of that. So you don't begin to think that, oh yeah, okay, I have to neglect my kids. No, you can't. But at the same time, it happens as you catch up with things faster once you get back on track after those years of production, so to speak. Alright, so fine. And then it's also the responsibility of men to encourage women in that direction.
I want a round of applause for I'd like to invite Dr. Alero for she's going to speak on the UI sexual harassment policy. A round of applause for her.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So I'll just give it an overview of the UI sexual harassment policy that already exists, so that we have an idea of what it contains and what is expected of us as staff. The starting point is that when we're talking about issues of sexual harassment, it's not a localized thing in the sense that it's not that UI just came up and suddenly decided I want to talk about sexual harassment. It has its foundations actually in the Constitution of the nation. The Constitution guarantees to us that everybody should be respected, the dignity of every person, whether male or female. So when we're talking about sexual harassment, it is discrimination. It is something that has to do with the dignity of the person, which is actually something that can be enforced in the courts. That's why you have both the civil aspects and sometimes in extreme cases, because you have things like rape is a sexual harassment, but it's like the extreme form criminalized. But you also have the civil aspect where if you sexually harass a person, he can ask for compensation, particularly in the workplace. About a month ago, the National Industrial Court actually awarded 40 million to the former MD of Microsoft West Africa for sexual harassment against her immediate boss. And Microsoft, that's Microsoft, the group worldwide. So even if as an institution or as an employer, if you don't take it seriously, eventually it might come back to bite you because you will be vicariously liable. So it's a constitutional matter. Discrimination against any gender is prohibited under the Constitution, and respect for dignity of the persons is guaranteed also in the Constitution. The University of Ibadan sexual harassment policy, the statement is that UI will not allow any behavior that interferes with peaceful coexistence among members of different sexes, ethnic groups, religion, disciplines, and classes. But in this respect, the keyword is sexes. Behavior that interferes with peaceful coexistence of different sexes. So it's not like you are in UI and we have a reputation, or a particular department has a reputation that, oh, there is sexual harassment, whether going on among staff and students, or students versus students, or staff versus staff. The idea is to create a space where everyone feels comfortable in their learning and their research environment. So, of course, UI is dedicated to ensuring a safe university space for all members of the community. And the UI sexual harassment policy covers not just the staff, covers the students, service providers, and all persons. So whether it's your ward living in your boys' quarters because you are a staff, it covers everybody. As long as you're within this community, then the policy is binding on you and you have to behave appropriately. The university also considers any act of sexual harassment as gross violation of human rights, which will be treated administratively, with the university taking appropriate action. And if the victim decides that he wants to take legal action, of course, he's also free to do. The vision is to be an ideal, safe and secure place of work and learning where the dignity of all persons is ensured. That is the purpose. Yes. Part of the things that the policy sets out, what it wants to do, part of it is to create awareness about what sexual harassment is, and that's part of the reason we're here today, to say what is sexual harassment. Because peradventure, some people have heard about it, but what kind of conduct constitutes sexual harassment? Those are the things we'll be discussing. Yeah. Definition of sexual harassment. So what constitutes sexual harassment? What amounts to harassment? It constitutes unwanted, and that is important, because if the person decides, or both of you are willing, then it's not harassment. Unwanted sexually motivated conduct, comments, expressions capable of prejudicing or undermining a person's freedoms, rights, and privileges. Also means unwanted suggestive looks, phone calls, or other use of multimedia formats and comments intended to lure a person into a sexual relationship. Then sexual harassment can take place just once, or it may take place quite a time. Particularly, I want us to look at the United Nations definition, because it restricts it, or it targets, narrows it down to the workplace, when it says that it is such conduct which is humiliating and may constitute a health and safety problem. It is discriminatory when the victim has reasonable ground to believe that her objection will disadvantage her in connection with her employment, or when it creates a hostile working environment. You know, it's like if somebody is being harassed, you know, coming to the office, the person has to think, oh, it's time to go to work again. That man that is always troubling me, or that lady that is always troubling me at work. It will affect the productivity level. It will affect the mental health of the person. I'm sure Dr. Malik will tell us that. So there are so many things involved, the consequences of sexual harassment. That's why it is something to be taken seriously, particularly when it relates to the workplace, because you are shortchanging not only the person and his ability to reach their full potential, but you're also shortchanging the employer who has employed this person for work and is not producing, because you are making that environment hostile to work. So demanding for sexual favors in exchange for higher grades, where that will be between the staff and the students. Sexually motivated bullying and ogling of a person, that happens commonly among students at home as well. Asking personal questions about personal or sexual life. Somebody comes in for an interview and you are asking, oh, are you pregnant? What has that got to do with anything? Because a man will not come in and you'll be asking him all these kind of questions. So why? It's targeted, so it's harassment. Sexual comment about a person's shape, turning academic and occupational discussions into sexual discussions without precluding or restricting appropriate teaching methods and research. Of course, if we are teaching science and people were talking about research, I don't know how you go about it, but it will come in, you know, and you start turning this into the discussion about sex. It's irrelevant. And even if you are going to have such conversation, then you must use appropriate teaching methods. Compelling persons to narrate references or history. unsolicited, sexually explicit or suggestive electronic and mobile messages. Recently, I saw somewhere that somebody said a lady mistakenly put a nude picture of herself on the internet. I said, what is the mistake there? Okay, if you mistakenly press the send, you wanted to send it to somebody and you now press send and it will viral. All those things are occurring now, but the idea is that if she hadn't taken the nude picture in the first place, there will be no mistake of going to the internet or wherever eventually went to. But some people do it deliberately, harassment aspect. You can find somebody taking a nude picture of herself and send it to somebody who is she's interested in. Because harassment is both ways. The female can use it to harass. So, because why would she take a nude picture and send to a colleague? To what end? Would constitute harassment. Is a violation of the person, amounts to the creates a hostile environment for work, which can lead to sexual mental issues, the health, safety of a person and good productivity, and should be avoided at all costs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark. Another round of applause for Dr.
One of the local UI faculty on the masters, and I was one of the pioneer, I was in the pioneer set of the masters. So that's a very good opportunity for capacity building, which the University of Ibadan usually has, and I'm sure your respective departments and faculties, there will be several similar opportunities. My take is because I'm just focused on the psychological aspects. I'm not a lawyer, and I'm also not a gender policy, but at least I can share with you some case vignettes that will illustrate the psychological and impact of gender violence. Next. The definitions I'm going to skip, but the situation of violence against women, I think, is something we should keep in mind. Violence against women has been called the most pervasive yet least recognized human rights abuse in the world. Around the world, 1 in every 3 women has been beaten, coerced into sex, or abused in some other way, most often by someone she knows, including sometimes by her husband or another male family member. And you all know, or we all think that women should be better catered for when they are pregnant. But the statistics show that 1 woman in every 4 has been abused physically during pregnancy. Violence against women both violates and impairs or nullifies the enjoyment by women of their human rights and fundamental freedom. In all societies, this is not just something that happens in Ibadan, or something that happens only in Yoruba land, or only in the north, or only in the east. It's a global phenomenon. In all societies, to a greater or lesser degree, women and girls are subjected to physical, sexual, and psychological abuse. And this abuse often cuts across. We tend to imagine that it's only women who are not educated, it's only women from a poor socioeconomic class that are more vulnerable, but that's not true. Indeed, the learned colleague, sorry, she said we are not colleagues, the learned barrister who spoke, because the rest of us are just educated. The learned barrister who just spoke before me gave an instance of a woman, a high, management lady with Microsoft, I think, who had to sue her boss for sexual harassment and won. So you find that regardless of socioeconomic status, regardless of income, class, and culture, and this was the declaration of the United Nations population. Next. I will skip the definitions. I think they've been exhaustively dealt with. Next slide.
Bear it in mind that the fight against race violence is a fight that all of us must be involved in. And it's a fight we can win only when everyone takes it as a personal part. When we all work together, we can achieve more. When we all work together, we can achieve more. Your efforts, my efforts, our efforts together. When we all work together, we can achieve more. So I'll sing it once, and then I'm sure by the next time we'll be able to sing it together. When we all work together, we can achieve more. When we all work together, we can achieve more.
Your efforts, my efforts, our efforts together. When we all work together, we can achieve more. Can we try it? Okay, let's go. When we all work together, we can achieve more. When we all work together, we can achieve more. Your efforts, my efforts, our efforts together. When we all work together, we can achieve more. Okay, we're going to try and put some action into it. Don't give your neighbor a blow. You'll be accused of sexual harassment. Let's go. When we all work together, we can achieve more. When we all work together, we can achieve more. Your efforts, my efforts, our efforts together. When we all work together, we can achieve more. Some people are not singing, they don't plan to work with us. Please look at your neighbor, make sure she or he is singing. Shall we go 1, 2? When we all work together, we can achieve more. When we all work together, we can achieve more. Your efforts, my efforts, our efforts together. When we all work together, we can achieve more. Thank you very much. We would have to recommend some people here to the University of Ghana Choir. Some of the things I'm supposed to talk about Dr. Malik already handled, so I may have to skip some of my slides or just quickly go over them. We already have an idea of what gender-based violence is, but we just want to emphasize 1 or 2 things. The first one is that it's likely to result in physical or psychological harm, just like you said. And then the second one is that the goal in gender-based violence, the goal is always to establish or maintain power. So we see that the spouse that appears to have superior power is the one that abuses the other. Now, some people are against the fact that gender-based violence is defined as violence against women. But they are not against the fact that women are always referred to as the weaker sex. But the American dictionary tells us gender-based violence is violence against women. Another definition would be that it is violence that targets individuals on the basis of their gender. So there is no debating the fact that it is violence against women. Are we then saying that there is no violence against men? Is it all about women? About a week ago, I was in a gathering and someone said, most women that are frequently battered by their husbands have never taught such husbands a lesson. And I was all ears because I couldn't imagine a woman teaching her husband a lesson. He said, one day, muster all your strength and energy, beat him up properly, then raise alarm. As soon as the neighbors are coming to help, fall on the ground and start crying, oh Pamio, so that they will think he was the one that did the beating. And next time he will not dare beat you. But then the seriousness of the matter is how many women can muster up such energy to beat men up. But Dr. Demola Luis always tells us this story about one Babalawo whose wife used to beat. But the truth of the matter is, if a man reports battery, he is most likely going to be made fun of. Just imagine a man going to the police station to report that he was just beaten up by his wife. The time you call yourself a man, and you can come here to report. Who will you even tell? But the truth of the matter is there are instances where the batterer is the wife and not the husband. So, when we went to ISI, some of the male students said when they go to the staff room to report that girls are harassing them or beating them, or that the teachers say, you are not ashamed of yourself. A girl beats up, you can say, oh, get out of here. No, and it's not the way to go. Some girls are bullies. I mean, they can really bully people. And I'm sure one or two people can attest to that. But they will not want to accept the topic that they've been bullied. What are the various forms of violence? Can be physical, psychological, emotional, sexual, or economic. Because Dr. Malik talked about the first four, I'll just talk about economic violence. There are some women who don't look forward to their paycheck because they operate joint accounts or because they have an understanding with their husband that every spending must be vetted by the husband. And there have been instances where such women are handed money to make their hair, to buy fuel. They do not handle their own finances. Now that's a form of violence. Because if someone has the right to work, then she should have the right to how her money should be spent. And whatever cultural background we come from, I think it should be by agreement. Oftentimes we discover that this agreement was entered into in the early stages of the relationship, when love was really blind. But after love's eyes were opened, and the woman realized that you cannot ask a man every time you want to buy okra, every time you want to buy, or you want to give something to someone without making a case out of it, it would have become so difficult to go back and say, we're breaking this and we're no longer doing joint accounts. Now let's look at some other examples of violence. Acid attack. And I would like to find out, how many of us have read cases where a man was poured acid, as against cases where the woman was one on whom acid was poured? See one hand in this old Dr. Louis. Thank you. It's rare, but it happens. So it's usually about a woman getting angry and wanting to deal with the spouse or deal with whoever wants to contend with that. We don't have many cases of cyberbullying in Nigeria, but it's happening already. On Facebook about 2 weeks ago, a student was saying something about someone who's been harassing on Facebook, another woman. And like each time she posts something or she says something, the woman assumes she's talking about her. She didn't go into details, but in other parts of the world, there have been cases where cyberbullying led to suicide. There have been cases where cyberbullying led to gang rape and other things. It is important for us, you may say, but I'm not on Facebook, but some of our children are on Facebook, some of the students are on Facebook. Some years back in UI, one of our undergraduate students had image splattered all over because she was involved in a compromising sexual situation. We didn't see the face of the man. I mean, it's just like the case of adultery in the Bible. The woman that was caught in adultery. How come no one brought forth the man? Was she committing adultery on herself? She was caught in the act. Alone. Is that not sad? There's also verbal assault. And many of us may never experience physical assault or physical violence. But there are a lot of things that are said in the workplace that are sexist, that put down the other people. There are all kinds of jokes, all kinds of touches, all kinds of leering looks. A lot of things happen that tend towards violence, and we should take them seriously and we should avoid them. Forced prostitution. At a program in College of Medicine some months back, a secondary school student came up and wrote, what happens when you are living with someone who is giving you out in prostitution for money, and the person is your relation? Now many people are going to come out and tell us this. A lot of things happen to these young people, can't share with anyone. Female genital mutilation, sexual slavery, forced impregnation. I'm sure many of us read about baby factories all over Nigeria that have been broken up. Trafficking. We know that more women are trafficked than men. Then state-sanctioned acts against women. murder. Now, we talked about the consequences of gender violence, but the last one is the one I want to emphasize. You can read all the others. And why am I bringing up them? If you've been reading Punch, especially the crime pages, every week, in the last 2 years, especially in 2013, there were more reported cases of gender-based violence alleged to death than we've had in previous years. That people are beginning to think, is this a pandemic? Is something going wrong? Are people going, berserk? What is happening? But I think what is happening is that there are more reported cases. I don't think there's an increase in the occurrence. I think there's an increase in the reported cases. And it is a daily occurrence. In fact, the data showed last year that every day in Lagos State there was a reported case, daily. So it's something that we have to look at. And I'm glad the case of the woman in College of Medicine was brought up, because I happened to have been in College of Medicine on that day. And I remember one of the women saying, I know her very well. And she has this place on 4th floor. And she's so pretty. Now let's go and give her a knock on the head. That's what has her being pretty got to do with the fact that she died in the hands of her husband? Is it ugly people that get beaten? Next slide. Now, we've established the fact that the commonest form of gender violence is domestic. Commonest form. Now, you have someone who comes up to you and says, my husband is beating me. Pardon me for focusing on husband. We've established that wives beat husband. But I haven't seen anyone come to me to say, my wife beats me. I'm waiting. So let's focus on the ones we've seen. Someone says, my husband beats me. Then you say, we have a GMO office. Please report. We have a women's law clinic in Faculty of Law. Please report. And then she says, will you go with me? And you're willing to go. And the case comes and they say, oh, you were the one that led her to go and break her home. It's always about her breaking her home. But the point is, are we going to wait until she dies? A woman's mother came to another woman who helped her daughter to seek redress. Elderly Igbo woman, and she knelt down. She said, in my place, when someone dies at that age, our peers will go and take uniform, cheap and craft cloth, and they will come to our father's house with the corpse. I've come to thank you for sparing me from that sight. And whatever anyone else tells you about the roles you played in saving my daughter from the violence in her home, please always remember that you saved an old woman from untimely death. Now, we have to look beyond what will people say. Many of us will only help by talking to the people. We will not take any step further. And we still together. Yes. We won't do anything. We will counsel her, we will pray with her, we will cry with her, even cry louder than she does, so that she knows it's hurting us. But that's where it will end. When she goes back home, she gets beaten again. Until we now read about the case, like the woman who worked in UCH, and then we still she was such a lovely person. But your conscience will always creep you that she told you, she confided in you, or you didn't do anything. Violence is the most common violation of human rights around the world. Most common. The first bullet is also important. Among women aged between 15 and 40. Gender violence accounts for more deaths and disability than the combined effects of war, cancer, malaria, and all the other things that we have different NGOs fighting against. There are too many cases reported. Where do we stand? We need courage. We need courage. Nobody should be afraid to report. So if somebody tells you, you can tell on our behalf. And one thing that I've tried to do in the GMO office is to protect people's interests and identity. So there are times that it's not the affected person that would make the report. But if you know about it and you keep silent, you are not helping the situation. And sometimes it so happens that if we fail to nip it in the bud, we help those people to get to a bigger place of shame. I'm sure the couple that we were told about earlier, there have been cases where there could have been arbitration, but they were left alone until they got to that end. So please, let's report. Neighbors, teachers, doctors, and religious leaders. I met a parent in ISI once, and he told me that he was driving into the campus once, and he saw the driver that was sent to pick up a girl in the school sexually harassing the girl in the car. So I said, so who did you tell? So, and you go and tell the parents. You know how some people react. So if you cannot tell the parents, there should be someone you can tell before more damage is done to the poor girl. And ma, I think it's high time we did something for our campus cab drivers too. And please, that's a massive. We know people who have regular drivers, mechanics, dry cleaners, meal, house help, lesson teachers. We need to educate them. Maybe we'll start making stickers or something directed at these people too that are getting away with a lot of crime. I don't know how many of us have heard this music about Brother Kola. You've had it too. I love it. I keep playing it. It talks about people that are in a position of authority and now they are destroying young people. And we need to pay attention to this. Now, poverty is another major factor here. I don't know what you experienced in the past year, but it appears there are more students that are, begging than ever before. I can see a few people nodding. They beg for recharge cards. They beg for lunch. They are just perpetual beggars. And of course, which of the two sexes do you think begs more, male or female? The girls. What exactly is happening here? When we are staff of UI, anytime gender issues are mentioned, then we ourselves should avoid sexual harassment. Please avoid sexist language. I remember being at a meeting with Professor Dejide once, and a man said, please, let's stop arguing like women. I'm sure behind your back, are you just children? Please, let's not use our duties as an excuse. Then we need to treat both genders with respect, ensure a safe, secure place for all campus residents. Like we mentioned before, no unwelcome jokes or gestures, unpleasant physical touch or maybe suggestive gestures. I tickled a lady outside just now and she accused me of sexual harassment. I did not mean to tickle her. I wanted to pass and she was in the way. The only way to get her attention was to touch her. Unwanted touch should be avoided. Suggestive gestures and comportment. Our mothers used to teach us about how to sit properly. We mothers, some of us don't even sit properly. So how can I tell my daughter to sit properly if I don't? Because everybody is wearing trousers, so sometimes when you're wearing skirts, you forget. And throw caution to the wind. Do we now start telling adults sit properly? What kind of life is this? Rape or attempted rape, pinching or touching, indecent dressing. At one of our workshops, and I don't know if you remember, students wrote that there's a particular female lecturer who has been sexually harassing them by her dressing in UI. They gave us name, departments. I won't tell you what happened afterwards. But if your students accuse you of killing them with things to see, stalking. Maybe we should mention stalking here. Why did it come up? When you're always, please, are there single people in the house? You are a lecturer, you are single, male or female. Can we see your hands up? Please indulge me, especially the male. Now there's something something in the policy about your relationship with students. Demola cannot talk here, I cannot talk. I married my teacher, Demola married the students. About relationships with your students. So please, let's not stalk any student. The fact that you are a bachelor does not give you a leeway to start chasing Viola. Viola stop taking your classes, or there has to be a way of going around it so that she cannot, yes. Because how are you going to grade her speech? How is she going to feel free in the class to ask questions when you've already told her that you're interested in her? She'll tell her friends, and then all our friends will sit together on a place and start harassing you to say you want to marry. There are just too many implications to it. So we need to know how to go about it. It's okay to marry your students. I mean, dividends. Mario, we said, marry. It must be to marry. Yes. Now let's do this one. My time is up. According to Maya Angelou, courage is the most important of all values, because without courage you can't practice any other value consistently. So let's be courageous in fighting this battle. Let's make you a gender-friendly place. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Now, if we have questions, if we have comments, if we have suggestions for the GMO office, please, you would like to have your comments, your questions.
I just have two questions. One is, how do you deal with the excesses of a woman? Then the second one is, what are the best ways? Then the second question is, what are the best way or ideal way to live with your kids instead of scolding or beating them, so that they don't grow up with that concept that that's the way it should be? Thank you.
From the Department of Veterinary Medicine. Mine is a general comment, it's not a question. I just want to implore all of us as parents that the way we treat our kids will make them, especially the boys, we can lead them to become a violent person. Most of the times, boys, what we usually do for them is to buy toy gun, make them to watch violent films, and then make them to go through violent exercises. And by so doing, they become violent and aggressive whenever they want to attend to issue. But if by the time the boy is growing up, I happen to be an example, if you buy toy babies for him to bath, he will be more friendly. Many times we women, we don't invite our boys to the kitchen. Sincerely, you don't invite the boys to the kitchen. And the boys, when they get married, in fact, the kitchen is only meant for the woman. I don't have anything to do there. Some of us boys or men cannot cook. We can't help our wives in the kitchen. And that is the basis or the foundation of the values. If we can train up our children to be more friendly, to assist us, especially we mothers, whatever we do, our boys can do it. Boys have that tendency. My son will be telling the sister who happens to be older than him, don't you know I'm a boy? Don't you know I'm a boy? But you have to correct them. I believe this will help us. Thank you.
Everybody, I'm Mrs. Adewoye Obi from Federal College of Agriculture, Akure. I was at the Gender Mainstreaming Office yesterday. I attended the last year conference, the first conference we had last year. So I was there. I wanted to inquire because at the conference we were mandated to develop our own policies for our own institutions. So I wanted to inquire how do I go about it yesterday, but I was told that we are having a workshop today. So that's why I'm here today. So I still want to throw the question because I'm really interested on the advances UI is making already. And I've written a proposal to my school too on how we can have our own gender mainstreaming office too. So I still want to get more information on how we can go about getting our own gender mainstreaming office in our own institution too. Also, I want to comment, because as the lecture is on, most of us as parents, we leave our female child to our teachers. We trusted them so much, to our male teachers. And there is a case of one that's very close to me. The teacher had to impregnate the daughter and they had to cover it up. Nobody, but they covered the case up. So we should be very careful as parents in leaving our female child alone at home with our teachers, female and male teachers. Thank you.
I was wondering, women that have been victims, what are we doing about the men involved? Because personally, I have a colleague and I even have to send a text to her during this program because I saw her father-in-law visiting her. So I have to, but I feel maybe the partner needs help. So what are we also trying to, because our society frowns against the solution of marriage, and that's why so many people shy away from trying to too involved. But when you have, the consequence, it's not the first time, it's not the second time, and the end might be that. But personally, I feel the husband, most of the time, the partner, needs help. What are we also trying to do in that? Then you said we saw wooing friendships. I think we should, this forum, we should also maybe have a pet project within HSI. That's where our children are growing up from. All these boys, they do it. They pick themselves. So at times when my son says, somebody calls me stupid, I said, so what's this? Just adjust with that. Because the way I train my children at home is different from the way others train their children. But when we have a forum, maybe the society there in school, to introduce things like this, because it starts from secondary school too. When I was growing up, top most for maybe every Friday, I went to Queen's School, government college boys, and they will come and fight. And they are fighting over girls, definitely, and they fill up girls, and there are different camps. So I believe secondary school we should, have pet projects, so that by the time they get to the university, they're already informed a bit, and those are just my questions and comments.
My contribution is that we should take Hello. I'm thinking of we taking the crusade. Or the message beyond our campuses, beyond GY, because gender violence is becoming a national phenomenon, and the House is yet to do something about the bill that is before it. So I want us to go outside the box and see how we can influence policy nationally. That is one. Number two, in the case where the victim withdraws, what do you do? A case was brought to me recently from one of our higher institutions in the country, and the victim was a 100-level student, and the lecturer, a man of about 62 years, and he had been throwing passes at her, and then she went to some other students who are 300 level, 400 level. I said, that's the way to go. Don't you want to pass his course? Do you want to go out of this university with a third class? This and that. When she became confused, she confided in one young man who is an employee of the university. And then he took up the case to the quality control. And then the quality control personnel was very interested, and the girl was invited. And then she was told to set him up with her phone to record subsequent conversations, which she did, and she brought it forward. Everything for about 30 minutes.
And then the man asking her to come to a particular hotel and this and that. And so the man brought it up to me and I said, okay, let's go further. And at that point, the girl came up and said she doesn't want to press further. So what do you do in such an instance? Number 3, we should endeavor to protect all the children now, because homosexuality is rearing its ugly head in our society, whether we like it or not. Recently, a 4-year-old boy was assaulted sexually by her female teacher in a school in Lagos. How did it come out? The mother was bathing, the busy banker mother was bathing her son unusually. It's usually the house girl that did so. But she was on a casual leave and she had to bathe the boy. And as she was bathing the boy, when she got to the penis area, the boy said, "Mommy, do you want to suck my straw?" And she was shocked. Your straw? What is a straw? And then the boy, a 4-year-old boy, began to erect. Began to have erection. And then she was scared. She had to call her husband. Something is happening here. The man said, no, it's just an illusion. It's just an illusion. He said, let us watch this illusion. And then, it went on and on like that. The boy was behaving somehow. When they go out and the mother carries him on her lap, she wants to open up, he wants to open up the mother in public. And he said, husband, we need to do something about this boy. So they began to press the boy. And they now found out that the class teacher had been having oral sex with a 4-year-old boy. So where do we go from here? Thank you very much.
Doctor.
Primary school students. We had a sensitization workshop for them in high side, and they have a gender focal person there. So, okay, they have 2 now. So if they have projects, we also gave them phone numbers to call. We gave the students phone numbers to call, and we were hoping that the gender focal persons there will be able to work directly with the students. So if they need the help of the chairman office, there are people on ground that can be of help to them. So as I was asking, how do you also deal with the excesses of a man? Because this is a gender workshop. The assumption that only women that have excesses is sexist. Men have excesses too. So maybe the question should be, how do you deal with people's excesses? So now, that's something that we would have to throw open. Because there are just too many of them. I remember Prof was asking what excesses. Because when we go there again, there are so many excesses. So which excess are we talking about? It's to work on ourselves. It's easy to see other people's excesses because we ourselves have short circuits. Because we ourselves are not tolerant. And yes, I know that someone will be saying, no, sometimes we are even over tolerant, but the woman is just, I'm not sure it's something we can deal with here, but I would first want to suggest, please be willing to cut people some more slack. Just be more enduring.
Dealt with means counseling, from counseling to space of whatever it is. That matter has to come. But we also have to be careful about entrapment, because when you advise a person to make recordings and so on and so forth, there's a law against entrapment. And there have been issues where it has been reported that the harasser himself or herself starts up the whole dialogue and then turns on the recorder in order to catch the person that is being harassed. Especially in false cases. There was a young lady who walked up a few years ago to talk about being harassed, and immediately I marched her up to Professor Dentley's office, and Dr. Buhari, and both of them took over the matter and discovered eventually that what happened was that the girl had been going around trying to seduce that particular lecturer, and finding out that he began to get interested, all right, but he wasn't going to compromise her scores, and then she decided to trap him. So it's difficult, it's a little delicate asking people to entrap persons, but I know that it's done and all of that stuff, and sometimes it's done for good reason. The other thing I wanted to comment about is the whole issue of lecturers dating their students. Now the key thing about it is that, of course, lecturers have to get married, no? And we're too occupied with research and teaching that we have little time to explore outside, no? So, but the way it's done is that there are proper relationships that are made known. So it's known. For instance, it's better not to date somebody who's in your department or your faculty, so as to save yourself from all the entanglement of scripts and things like that.
With respect to victims, when Dr. Buhari was speaking, the case that happened in UCH, I knew the woman very well, but I never knew the history of the domestic violence. But most of the doctors in Orange who are on the same floor with her, you know, the majority of them that I spoke with, the overwhelming feeling was guilt, because they knew sometimes she came to work with a black eye. Okay, and they work about everybody is reluctant to go into another person's marital issues that are the one that will send out of her. So I think that's a very important hurdle that we all need to mentally cross. And when we see instances of this, cases occurring, we should be courageous enough to intervene. I think that's very important. Otherwise, if it eventually ends tragically, you will have a lifetime of self-blame and self-guilt to live with.
Actually, I'd like the Deputy Dean of Students to say something before we round up, and I'm sure the envelope will soon be going, so we want him to give a closing remark too, but I would like the Deputy Dean of Students to round up where I just leave an announcement, and then the envelope will just tell us one of the things.
Good afternoon, everybody. I believe that God had a wonderful time being here. Does anybody regret coming for this program? I don't think so. We've all been educated. Both the academic staff and other people who have been here. And I just want to admonish us that we should take this message on, practically on to other people. And I'm people going to advise the GMO to take this kind of talk to all members of staff, because some of us are getting much earlier. We don't know about all this stuff. Many of us don't know anything about most of these that have been said here. Even the old ones. And that's how why many of them get into trouble. People do things and they are just not mind for what they're doing. And they get into trouble and then they start regretting and all that. So I want to encourage us that this knowledge that we've been empowered with, you should also share it with others. Share it with your colleagues, share it with your friends at home, your friends, and where you worship your friends, in your neighbors, and all that. Your children can have also learned things that we can also pass on to our children. So let's become ambassadors of this gender mainstreaming office in our own right. And let's pass on the gender messaging that we are not saying that all genders are equal, but we are fighting for gender equality and that everybody should be given a chance, male or female, and to encourage ourselves and to be who we are meant to be. And I believe that as time goes on, this message will go around the whole campus and indeed will be a place that is safe for every gender. I mean, has a safe, conducive gender environment for everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, man. I just want to say this, we know you are very busy, but we still also want our participants to go to the mosque for those that are going for Jumat. So that's why we are trying to rush so that you can get out of here in good time. I want to thank you for your patience too, and I want to say that For that question from Futa, I think from Futa. Okay. Yes, we are planning to have a workshop with you. We have involved, we have written letters to the VCs of universities in Nigeria. They are going to give us their nominations, and we are going to bring you here, and we are going to have a kind of workshop on the process, so that you know how to go about it in your university. Funny enough, we are collaborating with IITA. We paid a visit to IITA, and they have admitted that they will be able to partner with us. Now, from that have been said, but I don't want to repeat, that's why we have all the research. I want all the agenda mainstreaming committee to stand up for recognition, please. Please just stand wherever you are. Sorry to bring you up. Yeah, we have a committee in UIM. You can see we are all, thank you very much, but you can sit down, sir. So we have a general mainstreaming committee. So it's not a one-man show. It's a participatory thing. You know, we participate together. While others will wait and take their certificate after the workshop. So we can clap your hands for that. We have not wasted 8 to 12, you know, 8 to 12:30. Now they deliver their blogs and begin to do like this to our students. So now we have put stickers on all our doors and so on. And what is it? Stop gender discrimination. Put on the gender lens. We want you to pick a copy as you are going, so you can put on your doors and things like that. But let's say you are creating a gender-friendly space for all. Can we recite it together? You are creating a gender-friendly space for all. Sexual harassment. So pick your...
My closing remark will be very, very short. And it's coming in the form of a question, which I want us to answer. Have we wasted our time here today? Yes or no? Have you gained anything substantial? Yes. Do you think University of Ibadan through the mainstream has done something good? So that's my closing remark. Please try and move this vanguard outside. Let University of Ibadan be the best and the first, and you are the first. But we still need to struggle to still maintain the best position. Thank you for all for coming.
Thank you, sir. Do we have Mr. Okuruga there to give us the
they want to be tempted by the devil, So just the devil is coming and just the devil, go on your way. And this will be fine with us. Thank you very much.
Mr. Okuruga. Mr. Okuruga is the head of the department of the social works unit of Jaja Clinic, University of Ibadan. He's one of us.
Yes, let's clap for God. We believe in God. We believe that God will also help us in achieving the laudable goal of the gender mainstreaming. So I have to appreciate everybody for creating time to attend the program. If you have invited you and your different HODs refuse to allow you to come, we will have as much population as we have here. Combination of men and women. So we really appreciate everybody coming here. We appreciate the authority that give us the full package. And our guests, our daddies, our mommies, we appreciate you for dishing out good things to us. God bless everyone on board. Thank you very much.
I want you to come and shake the all our programs from the beginning since 2007 till now. Sponsor the documents that were printed out, sponsored all our workshops, and they are still sponsoring us. And so we want to give due respect to our Elflow. And so we want to stand up and say thank you if possible on our behalf. Ogolo Omorike. Adébáyọ̀ Adéníyì, Aláyàndé Tinúadé. Osman. Oh, yeah. I know, please. Abiola John Olusoji. Okay. Tijani Sarafat. Thank you, sir. Michael. Chop the one of those songs. Engineer Lawade. The Dr. Ali. The Olubukola. I'm last one for me.